Hey everybody and welcome back. I play a lot of Stardew Valley, like probably too much. I love playing the vanilla experience and I often will play through a day or two on my Switch, which obviously has no mods. That said, after a couple thousand hours, I've found that there are several mods that I really don't like playing without on PC. Today I'm going to go through a list of mods that I pretty much always keep installed. I'll cover some framework mods that I recommend keeping up to date, then some general quality of life mods that you might find useful, and finally the mods I use to record my videos. If you're just getting started with modding Stardew Valley, I've got a video that covers the basics, and you should see a link on the screen right about now. If you're already a dab hand though, stick around for some recommendations and feel free to use the timestamps to skip ahead if you want to look at specific sections. And if you want any of these mods for your game, check the video description for links. Let's start with the boring stuff, mods you need to make other mods work. These mods don't necessarily do a lot by themselves, but they lay a foundation for changing your game in unique ways, and a lot of other mods simply cannot function without them. To start, I always keep Content Patcher up to date. This is what you need if you want Clint to turn invisible, for example, or if you want Abigail to become a centaur. Basically, Content Patcher patches your game when you load without replacing your actual installed files. This makes it easier to remove or replace visuals since you don't have to dig around and find the right image, then make a copy and save it somewhere while you replace it with whatever horror story of a file you found online. In addition to that, I always have generic mod config menu installed. This one lets you adjust many mods from within the game. If you're not super mod savvy, it can be nice to just look at a bunch of checkboxes and simply select the options you like. You can always edit the configuration files, but not everyone knows how to do that or has an interest in messing around in there. Keep in mind that not all mods take advantage of this mod, but plenty do. I also always keep Expanded Preconditions Utility, JSON Assets, Quest Framework, and Space Core up to date. But those ones are only in my folders because other mods that I use frequently rely on them, so your mileage with those might vary, and I definitely don't think everyone needs them. Keep in mind also, if you're downloading mods from Nexus, they will tell you exactly what you need to run them. So if something has a prerequisite, just make sure that you have that mod downloaded and updated to the most recent version. Those little pop-up boxes are not for nothing. With the framework mods out of the way, let's look at the actual mod suite that I usually keep installed for quality of life stuff. Some of these mods require various framework mods that we just covered, but they won't break the game like the recording mods I'll go over next. First off, 2 Content Patcher mods. It always makes me sad when I walk past the Hat Mouse house and it's all broken down, so I found a mod that fixes it up. Now the Hat Mouse has a house even nicer than Pam and Penny, and I think that means that all is right in the world. I also recently started using the Seasonal Cute Characters mod. If you're looking it up on Nexus, it's actually called Seasonal Outfit Slightly Cuter Aesthetic, but again, there's a direct link in the description. This mod changes everyone's outfits and character sprites just slightly. I'll admit that I don't like all of them more than the vanilla sprites. Sebastian, for example, is not my favorite. But I think, on the whole, they add a lot to the game, and they switch things up to give you a new experience after a few thousand hours of identical outfits. One fun thing about this mod is that there's actually a second mod in the series related to the Expanded mod. So feel free to give all your new NPCs a fresh appearance as well. Once I have a couple visual changes, I make sure to have my absolute favorite mod installed. If there is anything you take away from this video, it's that you should get at least this one single mod. UI Info Suite 2 provides you with so much more information than the base game does. For example, you can tell what your daily luck is, and whether the next day is going to be rainy without checking the TV. You can get a handy reminder that the traveling merchant is in town, or that you haven't checked for today's recipe. And it will also tell you about tool upgrades, farm buildings, and birthdays. And all of those things are just icons displayed on the top right of your screen. It can also tell you about the range of things like scarecrows and sprinklers, as well as letting you know how close you are to leveling up a skill. Pretty much all the information provided by this mod can be figured out either in-game or by doing calculations manually, but it is wild to me just how much more streamlined my game has become since installing this mod. This one is not available on Nexus, so make sure you follow the link to the GitHub page and don't try to download the old version. It isn't being maintained anymore and it won't help you at all. Sorry. With that big chonker out of the way, let's talk about a few smaller quality life mods that I keep installed most of the time. I really like the fishing info overlays mod. This one will tell you about the % chance that you catch any specific fish from a nearby body of water, and it'll tell you how much bait you have and how many more uses your tackle still contains whenever you equip your fishing rod. When you actually hook a fish, the mod will change the icon to match the fish that you're currently reeling in. Unless you're looking for something specific, this probably won't change your fishing experience much, but it does give you an early heads up that you might need to pay more attention to your game for the next little while. I also really like Look Up Anything. This lets you hover over just about anything in the game and press F1 by default to look that thing up. Want to know what Jody's favorite food is? Go to the relationship menu and check. Want to know how much wood a barn takes? Same thing. This one isn't necessarily more useful than the wiki, but it's nice that it's contained within the game. I also use NPC map locations, even though UI Info Suite does partially contain this information already. I just find this specific mod to be slightly more accurate. And I have To Do to keep my notes on file very cute. This helps if I step away from a farm for a while, like months sometimes. Finally, I like to have winter grass installed as well. Some people might think that this one is a little cheap since it lets you carry planted grass over through the winter, but I think that A, it looks nice, and B, I don't care, leave me alone. Those are the mods that I recommend for a casual player. They enhance the game without breaking it too much, but I also need some more powerful mods to make my videos. If you don't care about those, you can bounce now. But before you do, let me know what your favorite mods are down in the comments. If you want a deeper dive though, let's continue. A lot of my character analysis videos require me to acquire specific items, view scenes, or change the time or date. Sleeping for 28 days to get to summer is possible, of course, but it's a lot easier with some mods. I don't necessarily recommend these if you don't have some strong willpower though, or if you're not working on something specific, because you can absolutely ruin your experience by giving yourself 999 iridium starfruit wine, and then selling them for over 6 million gold. I use CJB Cheats menu and CJB Item Spawner for a lot of different purposes. The item spawning mod is pretty self-explanatory. You can just give yourself anything in the game. Want an iridium pickaxe on day 1? Go for it. How about the living hat? No big deal. So that one makes sense. Sometimes I need to knock out a quest or give Kent milk. But the CJB Cheats menu has a lot of other interesting uses. For example, I can change tomorrow's weather in case I want a thunderstorm in the middle of winter. Or I can skip to spring 1 year 2 to make sure Kent is around for the previously mentioned milk bullying. You can also just give yourself gold if adding items to your inventory and selling them is too tedious for you. But probably the options I find most useful are setting heart levels and then locking them. This lets me go mess around while recording before coming back to find the right scenes that I need for my videos. And while I am making those videos, I might need a couple other mods. I use the no-clip mod to ignore the boundary layers on maps. This honestly doesn't save me a ton of time, but it's kind of just a convenience thing. When you have to teleport to Willie's shop every day and then run to Elliot's cabin, it's nice to just walk over the water instead of going the long way. And I also just started using the mobile phone mod recently because it lets you reminisce on previous heart events at the touch of a button. This has been really helpful for me to record. It does also have some uses in normal gameplay, but I've found that it's a lot more convenient to just reminisce on a previously viewed heart scene than it is to start a brand new character and then set my hearts to 2 or 4 or whatever and then go see their scene again. So would recommend that one if you're recording. Don't have a lot of experience with it in general gameplay though. And finally, one last mod that I tend to use for recording is called Default Farmer, and I also just picked this one up recently. This lets you set a default farmer, yes, you guessed it. And this way, when I start a new file, I don't have to go through and say blue eyes, etc., etc. I can just load the same profile every single time, and it just makes for a really convenient experience for me. So that covers most of the mods that I have for a bunch of different reasons. We have some kind of framework mods, some gameplay mods, and then some recording mods. If you use any of these, or if you have any suggestions, leave me a comment down below, and I will see you in the next video.